So I decided that we needed to talk about what makes up the ideology of fascism. So I made up these slides so that people could know and understand where we are in politics or what some of these definitions are. So what are the tenets of fascism? Number one, authoritarianism. Centralized control under a dictatorial leader. Opposition is often suppressed. Nationalism. Strong emphasis on national pride and unity often promotes the idea of national superiority. Does that ring a bell to anyone? Militarism. Valorization of military power and the use of military force to achieve national goals. Anti-communism. Strong opposition to communism and socialism, viewing them as threats to the nation. Economic control. While allowing private ownership, the state often exerts control over the economy to serve the national interest. Propaganda. The extensive use of propaganda to shape public opinion and promote the regime's ideology. Cult of personality. The leader is often portrayed as infallible and worshipped as a national hero. Racial or ethnic supremacy. Many fascist regimes promote the idea of racial or ethnic superiority, leading to discrimination and violence against minorities. Anti-democratic sentiment. Fascism rejects liberal democracy and promotes a single party state. Social Darwinism, belief in survival of the fittest, justifying aggressive policies, and imperialism. Now, let's put this in terms of politics of right now. We have a incoming vice president in Donald Trump that said that he wants to be a dictator on day one. He looks up to people and is buddy with people like Putin, who is out here really trying to squash other nations and who is meddling in our nation as well. And then the nationalism point. Make America Great Again is a strong emphasis on national pride and unity. That is definitely that's pretty much nationalism in itself. We have Donald Trump that's talking about taking over Panama, taking over Canada, taking over Mexico, taking over Greenland for whatever reason. And he's talking about using military force and also talking about using economic force. Anti-communism, strong opposition to communism and socialism. We have a whole Republican Party that is talking about or has been stripping away social safety nets for decades. Economic control, stripping away all of the features that protect the small people in favor of making sure that billionaires and the business owners are the ones protected. Now we got propaganda. We got President Musk, who is using Twitter as his whole propaganda machine, having Fox News be the propaganda machine, and also having Truth Social being a propaganda machine. Cult of personality. Oh my God. These people just pretty much, they believe any kind of BS that's being put out there. This whole QAnon situation where they believe the stupidest things. The cult of personality is real. No matter what these people are fed, they believe it. Racial and ethnic supremacy. It has been funny watching some of these ethnic MAGA people get that culture shock that they're not really liked. That has been very interesting. Watching Indian MAGA and Latino MAGA and all these other Black MAGA find out that yeah, we got your vote. We don't give a damn about you. That has been very interesting. Anti-democratic sentiment. I mean, we know that they have been trying to gerrymander the hell out of everything, make sure that Democrats and liberal people have no voice. That has been their party platform forever. And then social Darwinism, belief in survival of the fittest, justifying aggressive policies and imperialism. We definitely see imperialism in the works right now. We see it going on right now in the social media discourse with their propaganda arm, using Twitter and AI now to create memes and all kind of craziness. Like how Eric Trump is saying the Gulf of America because Donald Trump said that he wants to turn the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America. And then you got his other son, Don Jr., out here acting like he's a Viking because his daddy talking about he's about to take over Greenland. And then we have Donald Trump on his Truth Social saying, I am hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA. My son Don Jr. and various representatives will be traveling there to visit some of the most magnificent areas and sites. Greenland is an incredible place, and people will benefit tremendously if and when it becomes part of our nation. We will protect it and cherish it from a very vicious outside world. Make Greenland great again. And as this dude is talking about conquering all of these areas, like he's talking about this is the Gulf of America, someone put these words: Gulf of how does this lower grocery prices? How does all of this bluster about conquering these different countries help Americans right now? Where is all of this even coming from? Are we supposed to stretch our military thin and start trying to invade sovereign nations? Is this what people voted for? So here's an article from Fortune that just dropped. Trump, the America First candidate who pledged no new wars, now is looking into imperialism. This is maximum Trump. Donald Trump ran on a return to his America First foreign policy platform. The U.S., he said, could no longer afford to be the world's policeman. On his watch, he pledged there will be no new wars. But since winning a second term, the president-elect has been embracing a new imperialist agenda, threatening to seize the Panama Canal and Greenland, perhaps by military force, and saying he will use economic coercion to pressure Canada to become the nation's 51st state. Let's try to get through some of this mumbo jumbo. It says, Canada and the United States, that would be really something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Trump said of the world's longest international border and the U.S. second largest trade partner. Such talk of undermining sovereign borders and using military force against allies and fellow NATO members, even if said lightly, marks a stunning departure from decades-old norms about territorial integrity. And it is rhetoric that analysts say could embolden America's enemies by suggesting the U.S. is now okay with countries using force to redraw borders at a time when Russia is pressing forward with its invasion of Ukraine and China is threatening Taiwan, which it claims as its own territory. If I'm Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping, this is music to my ears, said John Bolton, Trump's former national security advisor turned critic, who also served as an ambassador to the United Nations. Trump's language, reflecting a 19th century worldview that defined European colonial powers, comes as international allies were already grappling with the implication of his return to the world stage. Trump's swaggering rhetoric also marks a continuation of the kind of testosterone-heavy energy that was a signature of his campaign, particularly as he worked to win over younger male voters with appearances on popular podcasts. Charlie Kirk, a key Trump ally who joined Trump's eldest son, Don Jr., on a trip to Greenland this week, argued on his podcast Wednesday that it was imperative for the U.S. to control Greenland, the island is an autonomous territory of Denmark, a longtime U.S. ally and a founding NATO member. Beyond the country's strategic location in the Arctic and its rich resources, Kirk said, there is this other component. It makes America dream again that we're not just this sad, low testosterone beta male slouching in our chair, allowing the world to run over us. They are literally trying to take over the world. It is the resurrection of masculine American energy. It is the return of manifest destiny, said Kirk, whose Turning Point group helped with Trump's Get Out the Vote effort. Trump's allies have long argued that his bluster and most audacious statements are all part of his complex negotiating tactics. Aides note that nearly half of the U.S. shipping containers travel through the Panama Canal and that the key canal ports are controlled by a Hong Kong-based firm. Greenland is home to the Pituffik Space Base, the northernmost U.S. post, which plays a key role in missile warnings and space surveillance. And China and Russia have been making their own investments in the Arctic at a time when new potential shipping routes are opening as ice caps melt. Ice caps are melting as a result of climate change, even though some people deny that climate change is real. So a lot of times I've been calling the Christians of right now, the conservative Christians, Christo-fascists. But I really do believe that with the current climate going or pushing towards Project 2025, banning books, attempting to put the Bibles in the school system, all of this rhetoric that's out there, the propaganda machine being used by Twitter, by being used by Fox News and being pushed by Truth Social, I do believe that all of this amounts to fascism, is pushing towards a theocracy. And they have the billionaire, the oligarchy of the tech bros that are helping to propagate all of this. If people are not concerned that that our votes are not going to matter anymore, that we're pushing towards a time where we literally have no rights, they really should be a little bit louder with the fact that we are pushing into fascism. All right, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.